On my 31st birthday, my mother-in-law handed me divorce papers in front of everyone, recording my reaction like a cruel spectacle. Their smirks told me they expected tears and begging, but I signed with a smile because I had already secured my freedom and my revenge. Stay with me to watch how I turned it around. 3 days before my 31st birthday, I stumbled upon my mother-in-law, Evelyn, sitting at our dining table with stacks of legal paperwork spread across the polished wood. Her reading glasses hung low on her nose as she scribbled quick notes in the margins with a crimson pen. The intensity in her expression made her look less like a grandmotherly figure and more like a hunter tracking prey. When she heard my footsteps creak on the floorboards, she jerked her head up, her eyes flashing something I couldn't quite name: satisfaction, almost glee. With surprising swiftness for a woman in her 60s, Evelyn gathered the documents into a pile and slid them into a birthday envelope, the kind decorated with butterflies and shiny lettering. She pressed her hand flat against it as though she had just hidden treasure. "Morning, dear," she greeted with an artificial sweetness that made the hairs on my arms prickle. Evelyn had never once called me dear. Normally, I was Nathan's wife, or worse, her. Now she was testing out endearments like someone trying on a costume. I noticed the envelope, pale pink with embossed silver script spelling "Happy Birthday." Butterflies fluttered along its borders as if mocking the poison inside. She held it with exaggerated care, running her fingers across the edges like it was a masterpiece she'd crafted. "I chose this one just for you," she said, watching closely for my reaction. I gave her a polite smile, assuming it was something ordinary: insurance forms Nathan needed to sign, or maybe property documents. I poured myself coffee, trying to make casual conversation, but Evelyn's airy laugh felt off. "Oh, it's something special," she replied coyly. "Nathan doesn't even know about it yet. I've been working on this for a long time, making sure everything is done properly. You deserve something meaningful this year." Her words gave me an odd rush of hope. After years of enduring her cool indifference, I thought maybe, just maybe, Evelyn was finally softening. Perhaps she'd seen my efforts, how I balanced shifts at the bistro with night classes, how much I loved her son despite her constant criticism. Maybe this birthday she was actually going to acknowledge me as family. When Nathan walked into the kitchen dressed for work, I noticed the glance he shared with his mother. Something silent passed between them, like a secret I wasn't allowed in on. When I asked what it was about, Nathan only smiled and said, "We're planning something special for you." That entire week, Evelyn acted strangely pleasant. She called to confirm my availability, insisted on hosting dinner at the very restaurant where I worked, and even told me, "It's important we recognize every part of your life." Her sudden enthusiasm felt suspicious, but I clung to the idea that maybe this was her way of extending an olive branch. Nathan's sister, Chloe, also started behaving differently. Normally distant, she now seemed eager to help plan. When she smirked each time Evelyn mentioned my birthday, I brushed it off as nerves. The night before my birthday, Evelyn phoned again. "Wear something nice but comfortable. You'll want to be at ease for what's planned." Her tone carried an edge I mistook for excitement. That night, Nathan was unusually tender, holding me close, whispering, "Tomorrow's a day you'll never forget." His words felt like love, not guilt. I fell asleep smiling, unaware he already knew what cruelty awaited me. On the day of my birthday, I woke up filled with hope. I dressed in a navy dress that struck the perfect balance between elegant and simple. I wanted to look like someone worthy of acceptance. At the restaurant, my coworkers smiled knowingly when they saw me arrive with my in-laws. My boss, Mr. Russo, even came out to greet us warmly, shaking hands with Nathan, Evelyn, and Chloe. I felt proud introducing my family to the place I'd poured years of sweat and effort into. Evelyn scanned the dining room with pursed lips, clearly unimpressed by the red booths and handwritten menu specials. Still, she played the part of the polite guest. Dinner felt strained. Nathan kept checking his phone, and Chloe seemed far too amused at nothing in particular. Evelyn asked about my college classes with forced politeness, nodding at my answers with a half-smile that never touched her eyes. Yet for the first time in years, she wasn't outright dismissive. I let myself believe she was turning a corner. As dessert arrived, the staff broke into "Happy Birthday." Evelyn clapped theatrically, then reached into her designer purse. With a flourish, she pulled out the pink envelope I'd seen days earlier. "Wee-haw. Via gift for you," she announced loudly, drawing the attention of nearby tables. "From all of us." Chloe's phone was already out, recording. Nathan angled his own camera toward me, waiting. They were all in on something, their anticipation sharp enough to slice the air. I slid a finger under the flap, expecting a check or maybe a heartfelt card. Instead, the first words that caught my eye froze me in place. "Petition for dissolution of marriage." The world tilted. My coworkers stopped mid-step, customers turned to watch, and the bubble of humiliation closed in around me. Divorce papers, on my birthday, in my workplace. Evelyn sat back, triumphant, her lips curled in a victorious smile. Nathan's camera didn't waver, and Chloe's laughter slipped out before she caught herself. This was their gift, my destruction, filmed for their entertainment. For a second, the weight of it crushed me, but then something unexpected washed over me, clarity. I saw them for who they were, and I realized I didn't need to fight this. I didn't need to beg, cry, or give them the show they wanted. I picked up the pen they'd provided, signed my name with steady handwriting, and slid the papers back into the envelope. "Thank you," I said calmly. "This is the most thoughtful gift you could have given me." Confusion flickered across their faces. Nathan lowered his phone slightly. Evelyn's smile faltered. Chloe stopped recording for a beat before starting again. I reached into my purse and pulled out a neatly folded letter of my own. I placed it on the table, the elegant hotel letterhead catching the light. "I have news too," I announced, loud enough for the nearby diners to hear. 3 days ago, I was offered a full-time position at the Grand Crest Hotel. Salary, $45,000 a year, full benefits, housing included. I start in 2 weeks. The silence that followed was shattered by applause. My boss clapped first, then Maria from the kitchen poked her head out, cheering, "She deserves this." Soon, customers and staff were raising glasses, congratulating me. The room filled with joy, not theirs, but mine. Evelyn's face drained of color. Chloe lowered her phone in disbelief. Nathan stared, his plan crumbling before his eyes. Their ambush had backfired spectacularly. They'd expected tears, but I gave them triumph. As the applause swelled, I looked directly at Evelyn. "You wanted me gone, you just set me free." And with that, I stood, gathered my purse, and walked out of the restaurant. Not broken, but finally free of their judgment. The cool night air outside the restaurant hit my face like a blessing. For the first time in years, I felt light. I wasn't leaving in shame. I was walking away with dignity, carrying both divorce papers and a job offer that promised freedom. Behind me, I knew Evelyn, Nathan, and Chloe were scrambling to process what had just happened. Their carefully orchestrated ambush had turned into their public humiliation. By the time I reached my car, messages already buzzed my phone. "Nathan, wait, we need to talk." "Chloe, you're going to regret this stunt." Evelyn, silence. The woman who had always filled the silence with criticism had nothing left to say. 2 weeks later, I stepped through the gleaming glass doors of the Grand Crest Hotel. The marble lobby shined, the chandeliers sparkled, and I felt as though I'd walked into another life entirely. The gold nameplate pinned to my uniform read, "Samantha Lane, Guest Services Coordinator." My maiden name, my real self. The furnished apartment that came with the job overlooked the city skyline. For the first time in my marriage, I had a place that was mine, free from whispers, judgment, or Evelyn's ever-critical eyes. I sat on the small balcony that first night, sipping tea, staring at the lights, and promising myself I would never again shrink for anyone's approval. Jessica, my manager, became both mentor and ally. During my first review, she told me, "Sam, the way you anticipate people's needs, that's a gift. Hospitality isn't just about service, it's about instinct. And you've got it." Her confidence in me was everything Evelyn had tried to strip away. Within months, I was trusted with VIP guests. Celebrities, politicians, high-profile clients. I handled them with calm grace, drawing on the same skills I'd honed while juggling impatient customers back at the bistro. Each compliment, each successful event, felt like validation that Evelyn's verdict on my life had always been wrong. Then came the promotion, Assistant Guest Services Manager. My salary climbed above $50,000. I bought clothes that actually fit well, outfits that didn't scream desperation but exuded confidence. I walked through the hotel lobby not like a timid woman, but as someone who belonged. It wasn't long before word spread. One of Evelyn's old friends happened to stay at the Grand Crest. When she saw my name on the staff directory, she sought me out. "Wait, you're Nathan's ex-wife?" she asked, astonished. "Evelyn mentioned you worked in hospitality, but she never said you managed one of the city's premier hotels." Her tone made it clear. Evelyn had been downplaying me, just as she always had. But now, her own social circle was bringing my success back to her doorstep. Nathan's attempts to crawl back into my life soon followed. Social media requests, late-night texts. "I made a mistake. Mom pushed me into it. We can start over." I ignored everyone. He wasn't reaching out because he loved me. He was reaching out because he realized the woman he discarded had become something he could no longer measure up to. The divorce settlement was swift and brutal for him. The video Chloe had filmed at the restaurant, meant to capture my breakdown, became evidence of intentional cruelty. My lawyer didn't even need to argue much. The judge could see it all. No spousal support. No claims on my new earnings. Evelyn's grand plan had legally and publicly backfired. Months passed, and my career soared. I was promoted to guest services manager, leading a team of a dozen staff. I had an expense account, a company car, and a salary that hit $60,000 within my second year. Every milestone felt like a dagger to the lies Evelyn had spun about me. I'll never forget the annual awards banquet. I stood on stage, accepting recognition for outstanding excellence in hospitality. I looked out at the applauding crowd and thought about Evelyn praying Nathan would come to his senses and leave me. Her prayers had been answered in the cruelest way for her. He did leave, but it was me who came out thriving. The cherry on top came when business magazines began featuring me. Local papers praised my rise, highlighting how I went from restaurant server to luxury hotel management in under 3 years. Evelyn couldn't bury that story. It was printed for all to see. Chloe disappeared from my radar entirely, her once smug posts about ambition fading after my promotions hit LinkedIn. Nathan sent another request, this time a professional one. I blocked him. He had filmed my supposed destruction. He didn't get to ride the wave of my success. And Evelyn, I heard she stopped mentioning me at the country club altogether. My name had become too heavy for her to carry. Her perfect plan, the grand spectacle she believed would erase me, had only immortalized her cruelty. People whispered about her now, not me. Standing in my office one evening, overlooking the skyline, I realized the truth. Revenge wasn't about screaming or proving them wrong in the moment. The real revenge was living better than they ever imagined I could. It was smiling at my reflection, knowing I had built a life that no judgmental in-law, no spineless husband, could take away. I had walked into that birthday dinner expecting love, and instead, I was handed divorce papers. But Evelyn never saw it coming, that the very papers she thought would ruin me had unlocked my freedom. My story wasn't one of tragedy. It was one of triumph. And if you take anything from this, let it be this. Sometimes the cruelest gift becomes the greatest blessing. Because when Evelyn handed me that envelope with butterflies on it, she thought she was ending my life. Instead, she handed me the wings I needed to fly.